Sharyn Fitzpatrick, the editor of Presentation Expert, and we're in Edition on Presentations with Microsoft PowerPoint MVP, Mike Parkinson. Hi, Mike. Thank you for joining
Hello.
us. I know
Thank you for having me.
You did an article for us this month talking about viral PowerPoint infographics and how much more difficult that was than just doing PowerPoint infographics. Can you explain what you mean?
Well, in my experience, the easy part, relatively speaking, is creating the infographic in PowerPoint. The challenging part is making it go viral, making other people want to share it, and look at it and share it, open it, read it, and then share it with their friends, which defines viral. That's much more challenging. And there's some really cool tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that have helped others make their infographics go viral, and they actually use PowerPoint to create some of those elements as well.
Can you give me an example of one of those tips or tricks?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the first things that I recommend is find a topic that is in vogue, that's trending on either on social media or on the television or wherever you would find it, something that's getting a lot of searches on Google. You can use Google Trends to find out what's being searched. Look at hashtags, things of that nature. So find a topic that's already popular, and then take the topic that you're an expert at, whatever it is. Let's say it's file sharing. You're an expert at file sharing technology because you have a company or you work with a company that does file sharing. And right now, what's popular is just recently, the Department of Defense was hacked. Some of their servers were hacked. So one of the things that you would do is take that popular topic and associate it with your file sharing technology. So you could say something like, stop hackers with safe file sharing solutions. Top 3 solutions to stop file hacking or hacking with these using file sharing, something like that. And then, of course, once you do that, we need to construct an infographic that is that shares the important stuff, the good stuff, and that starts to speak to my expertise and your expertise, and then, of course, any research that we do. And then the process that I would use, I could go on forever. The process that I would use is to begin to chunk those little bits and pieces of information that I have, that expertise, those steps, those processes, those tools, the knowledge that I've learned over the years, and break it into bite-sized digestible chunks. And that's the secret behind what makes infographics so darn popular right now.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons to create an infographics, and I know that our audience will look at it. I mean, if you're trying to kind of explain something that's very complicated and you want to simplify that explanation, or especially with big data, research or financials, you don't want them to kind of have their eyes glaze over from an Excel chart you've tried to fit into PowerPoint, and maybe you should send a magnifying glass with it.
Yeah. I love these situations where there's, I know you can't read this, but then kind of what's the point?
Yeah, and I think if you look at the elements like, demographics and stuff like that, the one thing I found is there are a lot of icons out there or pre-done templates for infographics that you can get that will maybe help you showcase a number of people or places you live or something, so you don't have to start from scratch.
No, there's a lot of resources out there. I like I've gone to getmygraphics.com a few times. Presentation Load is another one. You can also find vector elements at websites like iStock Photo, Dreamtime, Shutterstock, Big Stock Photo, etc. And then what you can do is you can bring the vector elements. They're called vector elements because they're resolution independent. They're usually shown as they come up in the search options as vector or illustrations, things of that nature. So what you would do is you could save those files as what's called WMF, Windows Meta files, or EMF, encapsulated meta files. It's like I'm 5. And then bring them into Microsoft PowerPoint as those vector elements, because it reads the EMF and WMF files, and ungroup it 2 times, and then it becomes completely PowerPoint native. So that's how you can get the information in. Or like I said, the other websites like Get My Graphics and Presentation Load, there's a few more out there that have PowerPoint native files already done. And they're like so inexpensive, saves a whole bunch of time. And then over time, if you're like me, you're going to build up a library of graphic assets. that then you can use to make PowerPoint PowerPoint infographics really fast, really fast.
You know, something I looked at a couple of plugins, like Envato has an interesting plugin and stuff like that. And the thing that I've learned, because I'm a huge fan of Big Stock, is you're right. You go in and you search for infographics, it will bring up all sorts of them. You either can get it as just, you know, a PNG file, or you get the vector file if you want to be able to change it and do whatever it is. But the thing I've learned is to put keywords in the descriptions when you go into building the info, and then you're able to then search for those pictures as you go through. So every time I get a picture and I use it for something, whether it be an article or a PowerPoint, I give it a tag, and that tag then becomes really important when I try and search everything.
Absolutely. Creating that asset library that becomes searchable is critical. I break it up into folders based on use case, etc. Any way that I can organize it for myself and for anybody I'd share it with.
Yeah, I do it too. I also do it by client or by topic, you know, emotional intelligence or, you know, software-defined networking, depending on what it is. Sometimes you want to use the person crying to define software-defined networking. You never know.
Absolutely, and that's the point of making it viral, is all the content needs to be germane to that topic. Shoehorning it in so that it's obvious that it's just a ploy to get clicks or something like that. People can tell that. People have amazing lie detectors. They can tell bull stuff when they see it. So the thing is to naturally, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I have something of value to offer. So once I find that topic that's trending and I believe I have something of value to offer, to weave it together so that it is consistent with or germane to that and provides some benefit to the reader, something, the more benefit, the better, and then put it out there with a great title like Retire 10 Years Earlier with this one life hack, or Conor McGregor, if you follow the mixed martial arts guy, Conor McGregor's top 3 fitness secrets or something like that. So the people that are looking for Conor McGregor is trending, or Oprah is trending right now. So when people start looking for those, searching, your infographic is going to start appearing in those search calls. And then as it gets clicked on more, because infographics are super popular right now. And the reason why is because 2 reasons. Number one is we're fractured. We are so resource starved. We have so many things competing for our time that an infographic forces the author to think through and pull out the most relevant points. So basically, it's imagine a newspaper with the mostly headlines, and then with a little bit of information underneath. It makes it very digestible, very quick snacks, data snacks that I can absorb. Once I find this information, I can always use Yahoo, Bing, Google, whatever search engine you use to learn more, or look it up in my local library and so forth. Then the other reason is that the way our brain works is we digest visuals differently than we decode text. Decoding text is linear. And when we see visuals, they go, if they're good, they go right to our long-term memory. They go right past our short-term gatekeeper. So the visual is easier to understand because it goes right to long-term memory. It's easier to recall, and because everything is so bite-sized, digestible, easy to understand, it increases adoption. So that's why we love infographics, because education, to summarize education, it's understanding, recollection, and adoption. And there you have it in a little tiny little package that you can say, okay, I'm in the mood for this, and then you can grab it. So it's kind of cool.
You actually go to create the buzz too. You want them to be able to say, oh, cool, I have to share this. I mean, that's how we got kind of, whether it be the Facebook or, you know, any social media, that's really what you hope will be the action that they take. And that's really important, or to use it in some way to create a conversation. There was some great infographics out for the Oscars, and you could tell that people were using that to kind of create stories around, whether it be Moonlighting or La La Land or any of the others. So it kind of provides you with that whole content marketing data, which is what you need to be really successful in the social media side.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I see it more and more as people realize this is how people digest or consume information, and also how they share it. If they find that it's something that's helpful, they're going to share it. It's kind of like, it's no different than sales. One of the best sales and or marketing techniques is to have someone I trust tell me I should do it. So if I get an email from you, Sharyn, that says, oh, you should totally check this thing out, I'm going to open it because I trust you. And so that's the beauty of this type of marketing, for lack of a better description. Information sharing is sometimes all of it.
Yeah, I absolutely mean, there's so much coming into our inboxes, so much coming into mail and everything else, you get bombarded. And I think you're right, the visual cues that you see, just like color, if you see a certain color like red, it's going to draw your eye to anything else. And so you use that to try and distribute the information and process it. And that's what's going to come to the top of the pile, not the thing that is all text and no graphics.
No, exactly. And it's also dependent upon my audience, my target audience. And obviously, if I'm doing a viral infographic, I have a pretty good idea, although it's a broad audience, I have a pretty good idea of what that audience prefers. And usually they prefer bite-sized, digestible. One of the things that I've seen work very well is any kind of top number lists, the top 3 ways to, the top 5 things to consider, things like that. Because what it tells people is you're not going to have to wade through mountains of information to get to the good stuff. I'm going to just give it to you. And so they're looking for that. And knowing that people make decisions emotionally first and then justify them intellectually, I want to use things like color, because color is the first thing we see when we look at anything, to impact that emotion, and then ultimately get someone to nudge them in the direction of sharing the file. I also learned something really cool. My wife, she's a writer. She writes paranormal romance stuff, really good stuff. And she taught me this cool trick no, thank you. She taught me this cool trick that when she's marketing, she's got a new book coming out soon, but she was marketing her book called Dama X. And when she was marketing it, she would tell a story, a personal story about a large organization. She kind of stumbled upon this. So let's say when she was meeting about her marketing strategy for Dama X, she met at a TGI Fridays and had this epiphany. And so what she did was she recounted the story and then tagged, hashtag TGI Fridays. Well, TGI Fridays saw it and saw the personal story and how it played a role in her life and how it got her closer to her dream, that they retweeted it.
Oh, cool.
So that's what that's what I've been doing. So now if it's relevant, then I'll tag the organization or the company or the person that was associated with this event, and then if it makes sense, they'll retweet it and share it and like it. That's a good thing.
So something I kind of feel like we've been doing infographics for a long time, and in some ways we're just calling it something different.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I take a good example is I have a whole webinar process diagram that I use, and I got from SmartArt. So you just insert a SmartArt, and you could use that to also build your story. So I hope our readers will not be overwhelmed by the idea of doing an infographic, because a lot of the tools are right there at their fingertips.
You got it. We've been doing infographics for many years. Right now, the term infographic typically refers to a style or an aesthetic, because it's got the icon with the text, and it has another icon with some text and maybe a little graphic in the corner. Really, any graphic that's meant to clarify and or explain is an infographic. So it can be as simple as a photograph, or it can be as complex as 11 by 17 Gantt chart, which is a schedule on steroids with a lot of resource allocation information at the bottom, kind of like a dashboard graphic. All of these are infographics. So it can be simple, it can be complex, it could be SmartArt, it could be something I downloaded from Dreamstime or ThinkStock or any other website. And as long as it fits within that viral construct that I'm sharing and I see work very well, it's okay. It doesn't have to look the way every infographic that pops into your head we think it looks. It's okay. It's just a style of graphic. We can create a new style.
Well, I know you and I could probably talk for hours. Not that I don't love talking to you, but I want to thank you for joining us today on Dishing on Presentations. And Mike Parkinson, you rock.
You rock, Sharyn. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.